Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
And welcome to another Date with the Dorseys. I am Dr. Jatan and
I am Floyd Dorsey, the fourth.
And we are back. We back.
We back
with another episode on life lessons. This is actually the closeout episode for this series of life lessons that we have brought to you.
Absolutely. So I hope you heard them in order.
Yeah, I mean, not that it has to be in chronological order.
No,
I just hope that you heard them all.
That's it.
So we have a few that we're going to close out with today, but as usual, housekeeping. Where she at? Oh, I am she.
You are she.
So you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Dem Darn Dorseys. Make sure you follow us, like some of our posts, and engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. Then also you can email us at support@fortuneenterprise.com. Fortune is spelled IVTUNE.com. And if it's your first time, it definitely won't be your last. But we got to tell you what you done stumbled upon if it's your first.
If it's your first. I hope it's not your first.
I hope it's not. But
so what about those 5 F's in Fortune?
So this is how it goes around here. Our intent is to encourage a fortune state of mind. And how do we do that? We have conversations like these. We do workshops, we do courses, we do various things, or we have various avenues of which we encourage that fortune state of mind. And you may think fortune, immediately think about money or dollars in the bank. I do too. But we want to make sure that it's not just limited to that, because a well-rounded person is wealthy in various aspects of life, including your pockets.
Talk
right?
to them.
So in order for us to encourage that or help you develop that fortune state of mind, we have 5 pillars that we use to build up to that fortune. And those 5 pillars are the 5 F's.
That's it.
That we refer to, right? And they are family, they are fun, fitness, finance, and faith.
Gotta have faith.
I was just about to say that. Gotta have faith. So yes, those are our 5 F's that we typically talk about. So the topics that we have are going to in some way tie into one of those 5 F's or a culmination of them.
Absolutely. And we always love to bring you those 5 F's in some form or another. And again, you may think Date with the Dorseys is just talking about having a relationship and dating podcast. But just to be clear,
we ain't limited.
There you go.
Ain't no barriers up in here.
No barriers.
No barriers.
But we certainly like to have that. Our podcast is more of a well-rounded view in any relationship aspect, in your career, in your life, business, whatever it is that you're aspiring or as you inspire others. This is a good tool to have in your toolkit to make sure you listen in and share with others the information that we provide, so that you can help drive the future that you intend on having.
Absolutely. So what better time than now to go right into our topics?
Let's do it.
Okay, so you want that baton first? Or
I want you to take it.
Oh, look at him. So I will start us off this time. And the first one that I have is actually going to be rather interesting. I mean, I've seen it floating around before. And I kind of want to start off by reading this little quick snippet here, if that's okay with you, Mr.
It's
Dorsey.
okay with me. I love when you read.
Oh, okay. He made that sound like I don't read, y'all. I mean, I want y'all to take it like that.
No.
I'm just kidding. So, for today's first life lesson, it's the story. If you listen to our last life lessons session before this one, you know that I had a reference to elephants and, I don't know. Maybe I have a thing about them. No, I don't. But I talked about how to eat an elephant. Well, this one is the elephant versus the dog. So many of you probably have seen this, heard this story. But I wanted to leverage that as a lesson for today. So here it goes. An elephant and a dog became pregnant at the same time. 3 months down the line, the dog gave birth to 6 puppies. 6 months later, the dog was pregnant again. And 9 months later on, it gave birth to another dozen puppies. The pattern continued. On the 18th month, the dog approached the elephant questioning, "Are you sure you're pregnant? We became pregnant on the same date. I've given birth 3 times to a dozen puppies, and they are now grown to become big dogs. Yet you are still pregnant. What's going on?" The elephant replied, "There is something I want you to understand. What I'm carrying is not a puppy, but an elephant. I only give birth to one in 2 years. When my baby hits the ground, the earth feels it. When my baby crosses the road, humans stop and watch in admiration. What I carry draws attention. So what I'm carrying is mighty and great. Don't lose faith when you see others receiving their prayers." This is your lesson now. Don't be envious of others' testimonies. If you haven't received your own blessings, don't despair. Say to yourself, "My time is coming." And when it hits the surface of the earth, people shall yield in admiration. I think that's such a good story, a good hearty story. And the thing is that we often feel like we are delayed or we are denied, right? And I think some people even say it the opposite way now. They say you're not delayed, but you're not denied, but you are delayed. Either way, don't get caught up in the time that it's taking you to progress towards those things that are your goals. Because if it's meant for you, it's going to happen. And then if you spend more time, I think in one of I can't even remember which life lesson episode it was this time, but one of mine was that anything that you work hard for, you appreciate it more. And if you think about that in this case as well, that time that is taking you that may seem longer than for other people to achieve what it is that they want to achieve, maybe it just took that time for it to be just as great as it needed to be, for it to hit that ground and make people stare in admiration and say, "Wow, where did that come from? I wasn't expecting that. She swerved on us. Oh my Lord, let me get myself together,"
Yeah, so I think that's a phenomenal story, and I appreciate you sharing, because that point goes beyond, so many different levels of your life, right? It doesn't just sit at that first level, when you're, young and you're trying to figure things out in your life and what school to go to, even to the level which now you're looking for love and you're having challenges there, and it's taking you a little bit longer than you think it should.
Yeah.
Then to your career, where you're thinking, man, it's time for me to progress or get promoted. What do? I've been putting in all of this work, all the overtime. I've been really honing my skills, my craft, and all of those things, right? And so, matter of fact, even for our entrepreneurs that are out there,
yeah,
I've been running this business for 3 years, been posting heavily on social media. I've been marketing. I've been taking every type of speaking gig I can take. I'm just not seeing the manifestation that's truly internal, that's inside of me. I'm not seeing it right now. Where is it? Where does it go? And just know that you continue to work on it, because what you're giving birth to is something amazing, truly amazing.
It's about to show up and blow up. And you just got to be calm about it.
That's it. You can't abort the mission.
Yeah. You
can't.
That's good.
You can make tweaks, adjustments, maybe a pivot here and there, but don't abort.
And you make a good point when you were using some of the examples as far as whether it be entrepreneurship or teenagers or whomever trying to transition to college. That just reminds me of a recent engagement, a speaking engagement that I had. Shout out to Entrepreneur Magnet for that opportunity, because I was able to speak to, actually it was a mixed group of audience. So there were some kids that were in high school that were starting their businesses, but then there were also aspiring entrepreneurs who were adults, and then those that were much more mature in their business, they were there as well. So you ran the gamut of the entrepreneurs. But I say that because there was a segment where we did a panel after the main speaking where the students were able to come and ask questions. And many of their questions were really related around, how do I make this decision now? Like, I can't decide what I want to major in, or I can't really put my finger on exactly what I want my business to be, or how I should design this shirt or whatever it is. And they're like, well, in school, in college, how did you decide what you wanted to major in? And I said, well, I knew what I was interested in. I knew what I was wanting to do. And I got to tell you and be honest with you, once I started, I changed my major like 4 times. And they looked at me like, really? But it wasn't in a bad way. It was like, oh, now I feel so much better because they felt the pressure of having to make a decision right now.
That's it.
And not realizing, like, this baby, this pregnancy, that it could be a process. It could be some time, and some things will happen during that time that could change your mind. And it's okay to change your mind.
Because you're becoming and learning more and more about yourself, about your desires, and all those things. Because sometimes you may be experiencing them, and you may not really be clear on what it is you want to do. You may be coming from the mind of what others say you should be doing, what others say you should be majoring in. So you're dealing with all of these things internally just to get to the point of clarity. When clarity comes, I really think things start to open up with a consistent, persistent effort behind the clarity. That's when things will really open up. So stay committed. So, great point. I will transition over to one of my life lessons. And this came by way of undergrad. I was out in New Orleans going to school. And oftentimes, whenever we, my friends, our teammates, whenever we had some free time, right, we would typically head downtown, maybe downtown in New Orleans on Canal Street, and we would go to the different shops. But we would often encounter just people on the street that want to stop us, ask us questions, and some will want to tell us just some stories or just maybe drop knowledge on us, whatever you call it, right? Drop knowledge. So this one particular occasion, I was with one of my teammates and friends, and this guy just stopped us, and he went on a rant. I'm telling you, he was talking on and on and on, and I mean, some stuff was like, oh man, that's a real good point. And I was listening to him, and by the way, he was having his choice of a little libation at the time while he was giving us this information. So it got to a point of like, look, all right, I appreciate it, because some of the stuff he said was like, man, that's a good point. Some of the information he shared, I'm like, look, I'm just real confused. I'm completely lost on where you're going with this. But when we walked away, my friend and I, we looked at each other like, what was that? And then my friend, he dropped his head, and then he looked back at me. He said, did you get anything from that? I was like, maybe something. He was like, all right, so just eat the fish and spit out the bones. And that's the point, right? So in your life, you're going to encounter so many different situations where some of the information or some of the things that you experience, or maybe even just in engagement with other people, that the information or data or whatever it is that you're receiving, wisdom, knowledge, you eat the fish, right? The things, the content, the things the meat, the nutrients, the things that's healthy that can help empower you, that you can transition that information into knowledge, right? And that's the meat. And once you practice that information or that knowledge, once it begins to manifest, you can then transition that into wisdom. And so if you ignore everything because it's just mixed with bones or things that may not be as nutritious or something that you want to digest, then you miss the whole point, or you miss some great substance that really would have been able to empower or help impact you in a great way in your life. So again, no matter what it is or who you're engaging with or what you're doing, there's always something to learn. There's always information to grab that you can then transition into the knowledge or the nutrients that you truly need, that can be digestible, that can then be converted into wisdom that will certainly empower your life. So again, I will say, eat the fish and spit out the bone. Listen,
fish is one of my favorite foods, since we're just talking about fish. And to be more specific, fish with bones, whole fish, is even more my favorite fish. Boy. And let me tell you why. Because I feel like it has so much more flavor to it. It's more wholesome. So when you're talking about eating the fish and spitting out the bones, to me, I mean, you so eloquently stated it, of course. But in that example, you used this gentleman who was sharing all this information, doing this data dump. It's like it added to the meat, right?
The flavor.
It added flavor. There you go. So it was like, okay, that was this whole situation. Let me get my mind right and see what I just experienced. But it's good, right? It's not just somebody just dumping some information on you having to digest, understand, and process.
I heard all day.
You get it balanced.
Some flavor. Yeah, you added that extra flavor to the meat.
Wholesome.
And once you have that flavor to the meat, you can now discard the bone, right? Because you can't truly digest it.
Right. And you go into that meal knowing that it's going to be more flavorful. So you're willing to pick around the bone to get to the meat.
That's it.
I'm willing to do that work because I know it's going to taste better.
I love it.
Okay. So I guess that means back to me. I'll say this one that I'll close out with for my side will be, it'll get hard before it get easier. And goodness, I've been reminded of this multiple times in life, but I think my husband was the most recent to mention it to me, so it was fresh on my mind. So it's easy to get caught up into the rigmarole of everything that's going on and, feeling overwhelmed and just ready to rest, but realize that it doesn't mean it's the time to quit, right? When you're tired, rest, but don't quit. Just realize that it's a point of which if you are about great things, you're doing great things, just like the elephant that was pregnant we just talked about as well, this greatness is coming, right? So you see it, you have this vision, and along the way as you are approaching these milestones, as you're eating the elephant by piece, I'm attaching all of this elephant stuff together. Y'all ain't ready for this. No. As you're slicing and dicing that so that you can digest it, each piece may seem like it's minute because it's small. And you can't really imagine all of those pieces coming together to make this full elephant in the end. But even in that process, those steps could present some situations, some people, some things that make you feel like, oh my goodness, I really don't want to do this, by the way.
That's it.
Oh, I can't do this, by the way. But you have to remind yourself that it's going to get harder before it gets easier.
I like that. And it puts me in the mind of just the pregnancy process for any woman out there, that those first few months you may experience some morning sickness or whatever it may be, right? But you're starting to get some changes in your body, but then things starts to pick up, and this human is growing inside of you up to the point of which you're truly giving birth, and you're dealing with contractions, and you're dealing with labor pains, and you're pushing, and early off through the pregnancy, you're probably feeling good, and you're looking forward to that prize. But truly, it's going to get a little harder before it get easier. And at the point of which you really just pushing the baby out or giving the birth, when it comes at the climax to the point of which is so painful, and then you finally, boom, give birth, and you've overcome that extremely harder point to now you're able to see your prize. So that same thing applies in so many different areas of our life, where we're looking at business or in relationships or whatever challenges that you may be facing, whatever it is, right? You will have those times where it truly gets harder before it gets easier. So when it gets harder, and I'll ask Dr. Jatan, what do?
Rest.
When it gets harder, we rest?
Oh, we keep going.
We keep going.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I was reading my notes. But yeah, we keep going. But again, if you get overwhelmed, if you feel like things are getting to a point to where you can't be your best self, or you are giving from the stress of you, then yes, the answer is to rest. But don't quit.
When you're giving from the stress of you.
Yes. When you're
not
giving,
the best of you.
Exactly. Then you have to make the necessary changes that you need to make to ensure that elephant, when it's born, it's going to hit the ground, like we said, so people stop in admiration. Right? So in order for that to occur, you have to be your best self. And in being your best self, that means I have to rest. I have to, what's the 5 F's? One of the F's that we always leave at the end, fun. We got to find that balance. If that means fun, it may mean rest. It may mean time with family. Whatever that means for you, to make sure that you are balanced.
That's it. It. Replenish, refuel, rehydrate.
Exactly.
And refocus.
Absolutely.
All right. So the last point that I'd make that was really, really impactful for me, and again, this goes back to college. I like to use my lessons and try to have them in parallel at different phases of my life. So these two were for me in undergrad, and this is one, again, playing sports, playing ball, and one of my coaches, he yelled out while we were in the middle of practice. It was a tough day. There's a lot going on, and some players were what we call loafing or slack. We're not giving their all, right? They were just, going through the motion. And I think we see this probably, especially for professionals. You see it in your career. Some people just go through the motion to get through the day. Some people just go through the motions of life. Everything is cool. It's fine. I'm just going to coast and take it easy. But he yelled out while those people were going or slacking or going a little bit or loafing. And he recognized that some were really putting in the effort. I mean, they really had the will, and it was really, really going all the way out. He yelled out, "I'd rather tell my horse whoa than giddy up." It's like, whoa, what? And to me, of course, in the middle of the day, in practicing, those things are said, but I really didn't hear it. I was just really focused on, really getting the job done or putting the work in. But after that, we all got together at practice, and he yelled it out again as we were, giving like the end of practice speeches. I'd rather tell my horses whoa, whoa, than giddy up. Meaning that I'd rather tell you to slow down because you're putting so much effort in, you're going too hard, or telling you to back up or wait, take it easy, than to tell you to light the fire, let's go, or pushing yourself even further. I shouldn't have to continue to tell you to go harder or pursue or put in the effort that you need to achieve the goal. Why do I have to do that? I'd rather tell you you're going too hard, back off. I see the same thing whenever I look across the room and I see my wife and the work that she's putting in. I have to tell her, whoa, because she's such a quick start and she will go and go and go to no ends. But I truly rather tell her, whoa, than giddy up, because she has some internal motivation that drives her to achieve whatever she's doing, no matter what it is. She's a go-getter, right? And the flip side of that will be quite draining if you have to always tell someone, or encouraging or pushing someone, let's go, let's do it, you got it, keep going. All right, when are we going to get started? Those type of conversations are much more draining, as opposed to saying, hey, you're doing a phenomenal job, but slow it down. I need you to be able to endure for the long run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So keep it up, get you some rest. We're going to endure it, and I love the effort and energy you're putting out. Continue it. Again, I'd rather tell my horses whoa than giddy up.
Yeah, you know what? That phrase he has definitely used on me. So if you've heard me speak, you probably heard me reference my husband telling me that. So it is definitely, it's beneficial to me and a good reminder to me, to his point, to whoa when I need to whoa. So isn't that a dance now? Our nieces told him whoa or something.
Oh, I probably.
As I was saying it, I was like, wait a minute.
I can't keep up with so much.
But great. I think these were awesome lessons today. I mean, not that any of the previous ones were bad in the previous sessions, but this is an awesome way to close out. These really, I don't know, these were hot.
They were pretty good.
They were pretty good.
A little fire on them. A little spicy sauce if you like spicy food. If you don't like spicy food, they were very mild food.
Right.
Pleasantly mild.
And if you don't like bones, you just put them off to the side too, right? So we talked about the elephant versus the dog, pregnancy, right? The duration thereof. It'll get hard before it gets easier. And then we also went into eat the fish, spit out the bones, and I'd rather tell you whoa than giddy up. Now, anybody got a bonus? I sit there like we got a whole room full of people in here. It's just the two of us, though.
Somebody.
Anybody. I don't know if we got a bonus for you today.
I don't know. Let me see. Let me think of something.
Let's see if he can come off the dome with it, y'all.
Yeah.
Test the emergency broadcast system. While he's doing that, I can do my closeout queen situation. How about that?
Wait.
No,
wait.
We don't want to do that.
It's just, I don't know. This song just came to me, so it had a lesson in there.
Okay, go for it.
The bonus. Sweep around. Sweep around.
Okay.
Your own back door. Front door.
There you
Either
go.
way.
Just don't be on my door sweeping, okay?
Yeah, just do that. Sweep around your own. Meaning,
before you try to sweep around mine.
That's it. Make sure your stuff is clean, or that your things are in order. Your life, your business, your affairs are in order before you come try to judge me or tell me to put mine in order.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes, we find people when their house is a mess want to come tell me
how to get my house situated.
How to get my house clean and get it situated. So again, that is a bonus. It's just something to keep in your back pocket and keep it close to the vest. Just make sure you're sweeping around your own front, back.
Whichever door, side door, garage door, before you try to sweep around mine.
That's it.
I love it. And that's an awesome way to close out yet again. So you got that bonus too on top of that fire we already dropped. So I'm just saying, we giving this stuff to y'all, like, you know. I'm just gonna stop there. I'm just gonna stop there.
Let's stop it right there.
So
go ahead, Queen. Close us out.
Make sure that you are following us on Instagram and Facebook at Dem Darn Dorseys. Again, Dem is DEM, Darn Dorseys. You can also email us at support@fortuneenterprise.com. And remember, fortune is spelled IVTUNE. IVTUNE. IVTUNE.
Okay.
IVTUNE.
I think they got it. I think they got it. You done made it a whole song. You know what? The next podcast we're gonna have a little medley
we're gonna have a song. They usually have a dance off. We're gonna do a song off.
That's
something
it.
like that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you know exactly where to find us on social media and via email. So we'd love to hear from you, whether it be to give us some feedback on some of the things that you were able to take from some of our episodes, or if you want to give us some ideas of some topics you'd like to hear us chat about. But we'd love to hear from you. Again, this was the last episode of this session for the life lessons, so we will be picking back up on we just gonna let you know when we let you know when the next episode comes out.
It's coming though.
It's coming. So for now, thanks for joining, and until next time, bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Develop a fortune state of mind, state of mind. It's time for a date with, time for a date with the Dorseys.